Welcome to Sports Talk with R and J. I'm your host, Steve Risser, along with my co-host, Justin D'Onofrio. And we got another loaded show today. I mean, obviously the baseball playoffs are in full swing. The NFL season's in full swing, even though there's COVID issues going on. We got college football in week 6. We got a lot of top 25 matchups in that. But we got to start in the NBA. We got to start with the Lakers and the Heat. And we got to start with what happened last night. And last night showed you that the more experienced team and the team with the two best players usually wins in the NBA, and the Lakers proved that last night. LeBron with 28, AD with 22. AD came on in the fourth quarter. I mean, but Jimmy Butler had 22 as well, and Tyler Hero had 21. But like I said when we previewed the series last week, in the NBA, when you have the two best players in the series, you usually win. And the Lakers are absolutely proving that in this series. And they even got a third player to step up last night with Caldwell Pope. He had 15 points. It's some huge shots for the Lakers in that series. But the way it's looking right now, it's looking like the Lakers are on their way to their 17th championship. It looks like LeBron's on his way to his fourth, on his way to getting his fourth ring, and it looks like it's on the. It looks like Anthony Davis is on his way to getting his first ring, and he asked for this. He wanted to trade out of New Orleans. He ended up going to the Lakers, and he has completely delivered for the Lakers this season. Justin?
Yeah. This year, I just, he just don't have enough firepower without, and losing Bam Adebayo too, for a couple of games really, hurt as well, and Dragic. So, Davis and LeBron have just been the big difference makers. They had 34 of their 50 points combined in the second half last night. And the only way the Heat have a chance is the way that Butler played Sunday night when he had the triple-double. That's the only way the Heat have a shot. Butler has to, that's the only way. And he can't do that night in, night out. You can't, and they just don't have enough firepower to match this Lakers team. And if you asked me, or, I was saying this, when we were previewing last week, I thought if the Heat could kind of keep it like they did last night, like, right, low hundreds, I figured they could probably steal those games. They just haven't been able to do it. And in game 3, they had a bunch of opportunities to put them away, or increase their lead. They never really did. I know they ended up winning by 11, but there's just too much firepower in this Lakers team for the Heat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and a lot of people should have seen that before the series started. I mean, as people were comparing the Heat to the 04 Pistons, I didn't really like that comparison. And that's just a different era of the NBA, 2004 to 2020. And it's just showing in this series. I mean, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, those guys are amazing. And the Heat, they compete. I give Pat Riley credit. He has a team that's out there competing, but they're just not on the level of the Lakers. The Lakers are just on a whole nother level than pretty much anyone in the East. Maybe the Bucks, if Giannis was healthy, could compete with them, but they pretty much were on another level of anyone in the East. And really, the only team in the West that was really on their level was the Clippers. But but pretty much they choked, and they didn't get there. And that's why they're going to have a new head coach, because they didn't meet expectations the way the Lakers did. So I mean, I think last night showed more experienced team. Beat a Heat team that has potential. I mean, they're still going to have Jimmy Butler there for a while. Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero are just going to get better. I think the Heat in the future are definitely going to be a championship contender, and they're here to stay in the Eastern Conference. But they're just not ready. I have a ton of respect for the Heat. They're the best organization in the entire league, but they're not ready to compete with an elite team yet because they just don't have elite talent. They have a great coach in Eric Spoelstra. They have probably the best executive in the game in Pat Riley, but they just don't have elite talent, and that's why they're probably going to be done on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. They add a couple more pieces. They get another draft pick. They get some more experience, and this is a team that the Heat definitely have another chance to win a couple rings with this core group of guys that they have right now. But right now you're just going up against just a better team at the moment with LeBron and AD. And they just don't have enough right now. I totally agree with you. This Heat team's going to be going to the side of the Bucks, the Raptors, the Celtics in the Eastern Conference.
And don't forget about the Nets either, with Durant and Kyrie.
Yeah, almost forgot them. And they're right there. Need a little bit more experience, and this Lakers team just a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, and now that we know the Lakers are probably going to win that series, the series, we probably have to think of like what is LeBron's place in history. If he's probably going to win his fourth ring, you're thinking right now. I think he's pretty much cemented himself on being the second best player of all time. I mean, if you look at him, 10 NBA Finals, 4 rings. Yes, there will be the debate with Jordan. Whenever they win the NBA Finals, this debate will happen. The debate between LeBron and Jordan. This will happen. But for me, I'm not going to start that debate. I'm just going to say for me, LeBron James is definitely the second best player because of the way he makes guys around him better and the way he could score. He pretty much could do everything on the court, and that's why I have him as the second best player of all time. And I think he is a little bit of a better player than Kobe Bryant, just because of the way that LeBron distributes the ball. But to me, I don't want to get into the Kobe, LeBron debate, MJ LeBron debate. I think we should just be celebrating LeBron's accomplishments and how great of a player he is and how much of a difference he makes on teams. I mean, the Lakers were a team that missed the playoffs 6 years in a row. They get LeBron and AD. Now they're probably going to be NBA champions. So I think we should be celebrating that. And I think this LeBron AD combination worked better than anybody could have expected. I mean, and the biggest reason why is neither one of those guys needed to be the number one guy. They didn't mind being 1A and 1B. And it's worked out perfectly, and that's why they're probably going to win a championship.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I also have Jordan 1, LeBron 2. I just think what Jordan did with the 6 rings, and just a different era that Jordan played in. And LeBron is built like nobody else has been. Like it would have been interesting to see LeBron play in Jordan's era to see how he would have done with the way he's built, but I think with Jordan, he still has the 6 titles, so I still got to take Michael Jordan over LeBron. But I put LeBron right there number 2. And I think this has been LeBron's. I think AD has been LeBron's best teammate. They really have just because AD is a big man. He's a good facilitator. He's a decent shooter. He's a great rebounder. He's a great scorer. And he's tough to defend inside on you around the block. So I think it really because he's just so, and I know kind of all these big guys now they're coming up are kind of turning into like, more guards and very good facilitators, but, AD really does it well. I feel like when he brings it up, a few times he brings it up, plays point, I think he does, a really good job. I think this has been LeBron's best teammate.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to compare him and D-Wade was an outstanding player. I'll give you that. But I feel like D-Wade, the thing about the difference is Anthony Davis could beat you from all areas of the court. D-Wade could pretty much just beat you from his mid-range game and his three-point shooting game. Anthony Davis could beat you from everywhere on the court. That's why I would give Anthony Davis the edge over Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, I definitely agree because, Dwayne Wade was a shooter. AD could, shoot as well, but also just take you to the rack, night in and night out. And it's so tough to really defend. It's tough for most defenders, to be able to slow him down one-on-one down there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's pretty much on guard. It's very difficult to guard. One of the most difficult players to guard in the NBA. The way he shoots the ball inside and the way he shoots the ball from the perimeter. But now that the series is coming to an end, have you changed your prediction to Lakers in 5? Obviously, I'm sticking with Lakers in 5. Have you changed your prediction to Lakers in 5? Or are you going to stick with Lakers in 6?
I'm gonna change the Lakers in 5. The way hearing LeBron AD kind of talk, I think they're gonna be able to just put away in game 5 on Friday night.
Yeah, and it's just going to be very fitting too. I mean, unfortunately, in the year where Kobe passes, the Lakers win the championship. So hearing that post game is going to be very emotional. And when they win the championship, the post game is going to be so emotional because they're pretty much playing for Kobe. They want to win this for Kobe Bryant. I mean, we had the unfortunate passing in January, but the Lakers can win a championship for him, and that would be a really, really great moment for the Laker organization if they could do this for Kobe.
Yeah, it would. It's such in a year that's just has delivered bad news after bad news after bad news. This would kind of be like a feel-good story, and we really have not seen much of that so far in 2020. So yeah, it'd be a really good story. And it'd be something good to happen in 2020.
Absolutely. We need more things to happen good in 2020, and this would be really, really one of them if it happens. But we got to shift over to the NFL, and COVID continues to be an issue in the NFL. We had breaking news today We had Stephon Gilmore test positive for COVID-19. And now two more Titans players have tested positive. One Raiders player, I think Maurice Hurst, he tested positive too. So, but we will start with the Patriots and how this is really going to affect them. There's no practice today. They played on Monday. Their game on Sunday is in major, major jeopardy against the Broncos if it's going to be played on Sunday or if it's going to be played on Monday. We don't know when that game's going to be played. Obviously, we had Cam Newton last week test positive, and that game on Sunday had to get shifted to Monday. But yeah, it's becoming a major issue in the NFL, and it's becoming an issue with the Patriots, seeing what's going to end up happening with them this week.
Yeah, and I thought it was, very irresponsible by the league to play that game Monday night because as we saw it, we're even still seeing Titans test positive today, and the first one was last Monday. I thought it was really irresponsible from the NFL to play that game, especially because, I don't know if you saw the picture, but Gilmore and, Patrick Williams were talking after the game. Gilmore like dabbed them up after the game. So, who knows? Maybe, Pat Mahomes has it now. You never know. I just think it was a terrible idea. I know why they wanted to play it. They just kind of, they want to shift all the schedules around. But for Sunday's game, I don't know if they, it'd be tough because they have them play again. Because who knows? We're still seeing a trickle down effect from the Titans. We just don't know how. I think it's good to just probably postpone this. I know the Pats have a bye next week, so make things a little crazy. I'm not sure what the Broncos. It's just with everything going on. What do you just see with the Titans? I think it's just best to just cancel the game or postpone it and see if there's a way you could kind of schedule around, and make it work and make up the game.
I think the NFL should be thinking of two things. One, they should add a last week of the season for all the games that get postponed due to COVID. Unfortunately, though, you could get multiple teams miss games due to COVID, so that plan might not work. But here's one plan that definitely will work. The NFL absolutely needs to have a bubble for the playoffs, or they're not guaranteed to get to the finish line. The NFL needs to have a bubble. That's obvious now. They should be working on that now, just like every other sport. Obviously, the NBA and the NHL and then baseball played in their home team stadiums during the season, but they went to a bubble for the playoffs. The NFL needs to go to a bubble for the playoffs. I think that's pretty obvious because you cannot have this happening when we're trying to play postseason games. This cannot happen during the postseason.
No, you can't. Yeah, because it's just gonna mess everything up. I heard. I was listening the other night. It was on Mad Dog Sports Radio. I think it was JT the Brick was saying he got a text from reliable source in the NFL saying that the thinking the logic right now in the NFL is they're thinking of having a bubble just for the AFC and NFC championship game down to Tampa and then having them play the Super Bowl a week or two later. I don't know if you could wait to to the championship weekend.
You can't wait till championship weekend. You got to do it right at the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think the only thing is because I did think of that. The only thing is there enough, stadiums around where they're fitted to actually host NFL games where you have a couple stadiums lying around right next to each other? Maybe like LA though, because I know they have the Coliseum, they have the new stadium. So, you probably would need, 2, 3 field, 4 fields. I don't know, for the playoffs. Thinking about it, but they're gonna have to do that. I feel like just like baseball, because and who knows when we get to the middle of flu season in January, February, what's gonna happen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is not gonna be the first time this happens, and this will not be the last. They're really got to work through this, and the fact it was risky for them not to go to a bubble. I know it's hard in football to go to a bubble, but it was risky for them not to go to a bubble. But they're seeing the effects of that right now. I mean, their schedule is going crazy. I mean, and they're trying to postpone games, move games. The schedule is going crazy. So in the NFL, the obvious answer is they're going to have to go to a bubble, and I think they're going to have a final, just one last week, just to make up all the COVID games.
Yeah, I totally agree because we're kind of seeing it now. Somehow they got through 3 weeks of it without any problems, and now it's starting to all come back at them. I think you're going to have to because they said they would play the Super Bowl too, like the last week of February. So you still you still, you have a few weeks in there to, adjust things and start the playoffs later. You have to. So I definitely agree with you. They're going to have to add it because, who knows what tiebreakers and all that. And, team 8-7, and you got all the tiebreakers of what could happen. And you definitely need all teams, everyone to play 16 games.
Absolutely, yeah. 16 games have to be played. That is a requirement. That has to happen. No matter how the NFL gets there, if they add an extra week or two, they have to have every team playing 16 games. You can't have a team miss a playoff spot on an unplayed game. That's not fair. Everyone's got to play the same amount of games. But we'll get to news of the week. And on Monday, the Texans fired head coach Bill O'Brien. Really doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. We kind of expected this was going to happen. I mean, I think, everybody's going to say, oh, O'Brien wasn't that good of a coach. O'Brien wasn't that good of a coach. That's nonsense. The guy won 4 division titles. He had 5 winning seasons in his first 6 years and his 6.5 years as a head coach of the Texans. And if you look at his first 3 years with the Texans, he went 9-7. I know the division wasn't that good, but he went 9-7 3 years in a row. And look at the quarterbacks he had. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Fitzpatrick is decent, but that was probably the best quarterback he had out of the group. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Brian Hoyer, Brock Osweiler, Tom Savage, Ryan Mallett. Very, very hard to win in the NFL without a quarterback. And O'Brien did a really good job his first 3 years in the league doing it. And then obviously they end up trading up to draft Deshaun Watson. Unfortunately, in 2017, which was his only losing season outside of this one, and he only lasted a quarter of the season this year. They were 3-3, and then Watson tore his ACL. They ended up going 4-12, and then they had the last years of Deshaun Watson. They got to the playoffs twice, lost in the first round in 2018, and then last year they come back, win the playoff game, and we all remember that 24-0 lead in the divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we all know when it was 24-7, he had probably the worst call of his career when he ran that fake punt. That was inexcusable. That completely turned the game around and pretty much started to turn around his time in Houston. And we all know the one move that pretty much got him fired, and that was trading DeAndre Hopkins for a first-round pick. He became a general manager. He's a terror. It should have never happened. The Texans never should have given him that responsibility. He ends up trading probably the best receiver in football to the Cardinals and didn't even get a first-round pick for it. So it was a horrible trade. And then I even heard reports after the first 2 weeks of the season, he started to lose the team. So this had to happen. He did a good job in Houston, but the move for DeAndre Hopkins and it resulted in the end of his career with the Texans.
Yeah, it did. And, and they traded their first and second pick, for this year, last year to Miami. And, and then, then not getting one back to trading DeAndre Hopkins was, a mistake. And in a league, too, where it's passing now, it's like you need your top weapon to be successful. You need a guy like Hopkins to help out, in the passing game. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game, and he's also kind of I really wanted to ask you, so I always forgot, what did you think of Penn State? Because he was a big part of turning that place.
Oh, he did a great job at Penn State. If you should have seen, the talent really outside of Allen Robinson. He's the reason Matt McGloin got to the NFL. A lot of the talent at Penn State at that time, as you know, with the sanctions and people were getting out of Penn State. We're wanting to get out of Penn State. He did an excellent job. 8-4 his first year, 7-5 his second year. He did an outstanding job at Penn State, and that was a big reason why he got the head coaching job with the Houston Texans. So I loved him at Penn State. I honestly think if he stayed in Franklin, if he stayed at Penn State, I think they might have gotten to the college football playoff, especially in 2017. I like Franklin, but in terms of an on the field head coach, in-game head coach, he's definitely a better in-game head coach than James Franklin. So I loved him at Penn State.
Yeah. I totally agree. Because he was a huge part of getting Penn State kind of back to where they're supposed to be. They probably had a very good shot at 17 if he was still there. But yeah, I'm going back with the Texans now. And I heard too a little bit ago, it sounds like right before they got fired, it sounds like, him and JJ Watt and the D coordinator, got an argument with Bill O'Brien about something. So I guess hours before they fired him. So something went down there. But yeah, the worst part, was when they turned him into the GM. Again, it was a tough war, and I know the Vikings were 0-3 too, but that's a team that on paper, you probably wouldn't go there. You look at them, they say, well, they're 0-3. But yeah, it's been a struggle for him. And, it's too bad. That trade really just ended his career, with the Texans right there.
Yeah, one of the worst trades maybe in the history of the NFL. That was an absolutely terrible trade. It resulted in him losing the locker room, and there's just too much control he had. Being the GM, he had too many responsibilities. The GM, and then he even became the play caller last week. And I think that was the final straw when he took over the play calling duties away from his offensive coordinator. I think that was the final straw with management, and they finally ended up getting rid of him.
Yeah, because I think because Romeo Cornell, I know now is the intern, but he's a pretty good OC, and I think that.
You mean DC?
Oh yeah, DC. I thought he was the OC. My bad. Again, that just that I think he probably knew the pressure was on, and he knew that this was probably his last straw and wanted to probably try to do so much. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, he was good there, but he wore out his welcome, and that was proven at the start of the season. I mean, the schedule gave him no favor, but he wore out his welcome. Now Romeo Cornell takes over to be the interim head coach, and we'll see if Deshaun Watson can get his mind back on track. Now that there's not a quote unquote new head coach, but now that Bill O'Brien's gone, that he can start picking it up now.
Yeah. Hopefully, so because there's still. They got some weapons. You got Deshaun Watson, and I know too right now they have like the highest payroll in the league at the moment too. They got pieces, and obviously losing Hopkins was a big blow, but in that division too. I know the Colts are playing better, but I don't think they have much of a shot. But this team that could kind of maybe get to 6 or 7, 6 to 10, 7 to 9, and try to salvage something.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening there. But we got to get to our game picks, and we'll start this week with the Thursday night game between the Buccaneers and the Bears. We got Tom Brady against Nick Foles, a rematch of Super Bowl 52 tomorrow night. So that should be interesting. But for the game, I think that the Bucs defense contains this Bears offense. I think the Bucs defense, they had a rough week last week. Justin Herbert threw all over them. I think they have a bounce back week this week. The Bucs defense, and they get pressure on Nick Foles. I think they stop David Montgomery in the run game. I think on offense, the Buccaneers, even though they have some injuries, Fournette will be out. Fournette might be out. Evans might be out, and Godwin might be out. So they might have some injuries. I think, but I do think Brady's is still at this point at 43 years old. He's a top 5 quarterback. He'll be able to manage this game. He'll be able to do enough with what he has. And I got the Bucs beating the Bears 23-10 tomorrow night.
Yeah, I got the Bucs 27-13. Foles really struggled last week. It seems like their offense really struggled against the Colts. Bucs played that fumble at the end of the half there to Chargers, bad play calling. It's pretty much turned that game around. Tampa's all banged up offensively, as you mentioned, but I still think with their defense, I think they caused a couple turnovers. Brady, great manager. They'll do enough to get the win on the road in Chicago. Going from
Brady's team now to his former team in the Patriots, and we really don't know the status of this game yet because of obviously COVID. But we'll pick what we think is going to happen right now as the Broncos travel to New England to face the Patriots. For me, I think in this game, I don't know if Cam Newton's going to play. But if he does play, I think they're going to be able to move the ball in this Broncos defense. I think they'll have a pretty good game. I think the Patriots obviously will be able to run the ball. They'll be able to run the ball well all year. And on defense, I think they're able to shut down, contain Gordon and Lindsey. And I don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Broncos either. Is it going to be Brett Rippon or is it going to be Drew Lock? I saw Brett Rippon play last week. Yes, he won the game, but he wasn't great. He should have had 4 interceptions. He had 3 interceptions during the game that all led to Jets points. And he also should have thrown a 4th, but Pierre Desir, who's absolutely terrible, missed the ball in that end, and Jerry Jeudy ended up scoring a touchdown. So I think that for this game, if I don't think Lock's going to play, but I think Cam's going to play if they end up playing the game when they're scheduled to play the game. But if they play the game when they're scheduled to play the game, I got the Patriots beating the Broncos 27-13.
Yeah, if Cam plays, I have the Pats winning this one 24-17. Without Gilmore, it's gonna make it a little bit tougher, especially if Drew Lock plays. If Cam does not go, I think the Broncos win this game 20-10, as you saw Brian Hoyer. Oh my God. For a guy
Oh,
that's
he
been
was
in the
he
league,
was terrible.
he is bad. For a guy who's been in the league so
Oh,
long, how do you stare down your receivers every time you
and
throw a
how do you
pass?
take a sack right before the half? How do
He
you
thought
do that?
he thought there was a timeout left.
Oh my
That's
God,
bad.
he was horrible. But I
He was
did the
bad.
Pats defense definitely impressed me in
Yeah.
that game. Their
Oh
defense,
yeah.
yes, I didn't think the defense was going to be as good as last year, but their defense definitely impressed me in that football game.
Oh, it did. And that was the only reason they were in that game. They gave their offense every chance they had to help them win that game. To slow down Mahomes like they did. I think that was the third time too they held Mahomes without a touchdown in the first half. And they're the only team that's been able to do that. But yeah, I love the way the defense played. Now it's kind of just the offense. Damian Harris, I love the way he ran. Of course, Michelle got banged up again after he had such a great game against Las Vegas a few weeks ago. But if Cam plays, I think they definitely win this game. If not, and it's Hoyer Stidham, I'm going with the Broncos. But if we did not sign Cam, oh my God, this offense would be.
You guys would be a bottom 5 offense in the league if you didn't sign Cam Newton. I mean, you would win probably maybe at best 6 or maybe because you have Belichick probably 6 games because our offense is terrible. We obviously don't have Belichick, so we'll probably win like 2 or 3 games. But you guys would probably win 6 games at best if you didn't sign Cam Newton.
Yeah, I totally agree because the way that defense played, I think again, it would be tough to ask your defense to play like that for 16 games, but the way Bill coaches and I think we would have been able to steal a couple of games.
We got an NFC East matchup in Dallas as my Giants, who are 0-4, head down to Dallas to face the 1-3 Dallas Cowboys. These are 2 teams that are really, really struggling right now. The Cowboys defense is probably one of the worst in football. The Giants offense is the worst in football. So something's got to give on Sunday. But I think that the Cowboys in this game, their offense has been playing really well. Even though the Giants defense has been playing better, this is an offensive league. I think this will be the one game where Ezekiel Elliott has a big game and goes for over 100 yards. And a reason for that is if you've seen some of the games during the year for the Cowboys, they've been playing from behind a lot. Like the game against the Falcons, they were playing from behind. The game against the Browns, they were playing from behind. That won't be the case in this game. So that's why I think Ezekiel Elliott has a big game on the ground. I think Dak gets the ball to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. I think the Cowboys definitely get in the 30s in this game. Yes, I know the Giants defense has played well, but I think the Cowboys get into the 30s. And for the Giants, I think this is going to be their best game offensively. Obviously, they're playing a terrible defense in the Cowboys, but I think this is going to be their best game offensively. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Devontae Freeman and Wayne Gallman, and so they'll be able to they'll probably be able to get a good running game going. I think Jones will be able to get the ball to Slayton and Ingram and Tate. I think they put up over 20 points in this game, but ultimately at the end of the day, I'm going with the team with the better quarterback and the more talented team, and I got the Cowboys beating the Giants 34-24 Sunday afternoon in Dallas.
Yeah, I get Dallas 34-24. I think you guys are going to fight hard. I think you guys are going to be in it, pretty much the whole game. Especially the way Dallas defense has been. Something there, that the big kind of takeaway for me from the Giants too last week was 0-4 in the red zone. That just cannot happen and expect to win a football game.
And you have Jones having that one turnover every game, which needs to stop.
Yeah, and it does. And to be successful in this league, you got to be able to again protect the football, make good throws, and it's just another bad mistake. Driving late in that game too to go tie it up, the force OT. I really like the way the defense played against that Rams team, but I think you guys play hard, but I just think Dallas just has too much for you guys. I got Dallas 34-24.
Yeah, and the way they played last week, that's a credit to Joe Judge. I mean, getting that team to compete and get that team to play hard. That's why, in my opinion, I think Joe Judge is the right coach for this team. The problem is, and I've said this since last week, Dave Gettleman just needs to be fired. He's just Joe Judge just doesn't have the talent to be successful this year as a head coach. But I do think Joe Judge is the right coach for this team. He's not a Matt Patricia. He's as a Belichick guy. He's the right coach for this team. Yeah,
you see the way he coaches, the way he has his guys practice. Restart in practice. Making them run laps. Yeah, the discipline's there. He's gonna make his guys play hard. If you don't play hard, he's gonna make you pay for it in practice. So yeah, definitely the right guy. I think the future's bright in New York. If you get ready to get him and get a couple more picks, let Joe Judge, get a team in place here. I think you guys will be just fine.
Yes. So at least we have one thing. We don't have the GM.
Yeah.
We don't know about the GM. We know the GM's not good. We don't know about the quarterback, but we know we got the head coach. At least you know something as a Giants fan right now. But we got an AFC West matchup in Kansas City as the 2-2 Raiders head to Kansas City to face the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. And in this game, I think Kansas City has a bounce-back week offensively. I think they get the run game going with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Mahomes throws for at least 3 touchdown passes against this Raiders defense. And I think defensively, I don't know if Chris Jones is going to play, so that's why I think Josh Jacobs will have a good game on the ground. I think Derek Carr makes some plays, but he's not going to make enough plays. And that's why I got Kansas City winning 34-20 over the Chiefs. Oh, no, man, Kansas City winning 34-20 over the Raiders. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs 34-21 over Las Vegas. I think, I know Vegas' line still pretty banged up right now. Gruden's not happy that his defense hasn't forced many turnovers. Carr had a couple of turnovers last week that hurt them, but again, I think KC after last week against the Pats, I think they're going to be able to put up some points against this Raiders defense, and I think Raiders keep it close to a half, and I think that's when KC kind of pulls away.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It should be a good game for a little while, but then I think KC pulls away in the second half. But we got a game in Washington where the Rams are traveling to the East Coast to play a 1:00 game for the third time in 4 weeks as they go play the Washington football team this week. And the Washington football team made a move at quarterback. Dwayne Haskins has been benched. Kyle Allen is in, and Kyle Allen, as you know, was in Carolina the last couple of years with Ron Rivera and offensive coordinator Scott Turner, so he knows the offense. But for this game, I think this is a close, competitive game. I think the Rams last week I saw them play. The Rams really didn't impress me that much last week, to be honest, especially offensively. Because if they can't get a run game going, Jared Goff is not the same quarterback. He's not as good of a quarterback if he can't get the run game going. And I think that might be the same this week. I think the Rams struggle a little bit to get the run game going. I think the Redskins put some pressure on Jared Goff. But at the end of the day, because Kyle Allen is playing and he might have a turnover here and there, I think the Rams, just like last week, win a squeaker. And I got the Rams beating the Washington football team 21-16.
I get pretty close to the same score. Yeah, I got 21-17 Rams. It's pretty harsh that this is already a third trip to the East Coast already. I think, NFL not doing it too many favors. So I think it's going to be pretty sluggish start here for the Rams, but they should find a way. Chase Young is still questionable. I think if they can kind of get him back and really slow down that run game of the Rams, they have a really, really good chance. With Allen at quarterback, he knows the offense. He had a couple good games that we saw last year, but again, I don't know if they have enough weapons, and I like the way the Rams defense has played. I just think Rams have a little bit too much, and they should get the win on the road.
We got an AFC North matchup in Baltimore as the 1-2-1 Bengals head to Baltimore to face the 3-1 Ravens. And I think this game is a game that is made to order for the Ravens. I know it's a division game, so it could be competitive, but I think one of these games a year is going to be a blowout, and I think this will be the game that's the blowout. I think that Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards do it on the ground. Lamar playing from ahead. That's how he likes to play. That's how the Ravens like to play. I think they control the clock. And I think on defense, the Ravens get pressure on Joe Burrow. I think this is a really tough defense for Joe Burrow to play against. He's played really well, but I think this is the best defense Burrow is going to go up against. So I got the Ravens winning by 3 scores. I got the Ravens beating the Bengals 27-10.
I got the Ravens winning this one 31-17. I think, this would be Burrow's toughest test since he's entered the NFL. I really like the way Joe Mixon ran the ball last week. I think it made things a lot easier. But again, he will not have that success this week against the Ravens. And I think the Ravens will do whatever they want. Control clock. They're gonna get tons of pressure on Burrow. This is gonna, again, we're gonna find out a lot about Joe Burrow because this is gonna be his best defense he's faced all year.
We got the Battle of the Keystone State on Sunday as the Eagles head west to face the Steelers at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. And I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think on the defensive side of the ball, though, the Steelers are going to get pressure on Carson Wentz and force Wentz to have a turnover. Wentz is good for 1 turnover a game this year, and I think that will happen in this game. I think the Steelers will shut down the run game of Miles Sanders. And I think that Big Ben will make some plays, and I think Big Ben is going to make I know the Eagles will get pressure on. I know the Eagles will stop the run game, but I think Big Ben will make some more plays than Carson Wentz and make less mistakes than Carson Wentz. And that's going to be the difference in this game. Is I have the Steelers going to 4-0, beating the Eagles 24-17.
Yeah, I got Pitt 24-14 at home, coming off the bye. Unexpected bye. They're averaging 5 sacks a game right now. I think they're going to probably get about 5 or 6 sacks against this Eagles team. Philly finally forced the turnovers. I know it was against Nick Mullins, but hey, again, kind of a little bit, confidence boost for this defense that finally forcing some turnovers. Again, got to build off this first win, but going to Pitt's a tough task, and I really like the way this team's playing because they don't really need Big Ben to put up 30 points. With this defense, they don't have to, and Steelers should be able to get enough to get the win.
We got the Cardinals heading all the way to MetLife Stadium on Sunday to face the Jets. This is actually their second game they're playing in the Eastern time zone in a row. I don't know if they've stayed over. I think they flew there and flew back. But it's not going to matter because they're playing an absolutely horrendous football team with an absolutely horrendous head coach that I don't even know how he kept his job after Thursday's game. I mean, he should have absolutely been fired. It's just a disgrace the way the Jets are playing. If you watch them play Thursday night, it's just disgraceful. Greg Williams with all those personal foul penalties. The defense is out of control. There's no discipline. It's so dysfunctional. There's no discipline on the team. It's an absolute disaster for this football team. And even worse, they're going to have Sam Darnold out with a shoulder injury. He got hurt during the game last Thursday night, competed and stayed in the game, but they're not going to have him this week. And I think, yes, the Cardinals might get off to a slow start because they're playing, a 1 o'clock game, which body time. It's like a 10 o'clock game, playing that game in the Eastern time zone. But eventually the Cardinals are going to pull away in this game. They'll get the run game going with Kenyon Drake. Kyler Murray won't make mistakes. And on defense, they'll force Joe Flacco to make a couple mistakes. And I got the Cardinals beating the Jets 24-10 this week at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, I originally had the Cardinals 27-21, but now with Darnold out, I'm going to go 27-14. I think Joe Flacco is going to struggle. I think, Arizona will keep this – the Jets will keep this close for a half, I think. But I think, second half, Cardinals will come out, play much better. I think they need to get the ball. I think they'll be able to get the ball more to Drake this week. They can't fall behind. And they could not get off the field on third down against the Panthers. I think that will change this week. The 8 penalties, yeah, that was awful by the Jets. That was just I haven't seen anything like it. Like the Broncos coach Fangio, they didn't even shake hands. He didn't want to start anything. He didn't want
And let's not forget, he previously worked with Adam Gase in Chicago too.
Yeah, and that's disappointing too. That time's got to come like that. Again, I know Fangio probably knows that they weren't personally trying to do it, but it doesn't look good for Gase that that especially if they're friends and they work together. Yeah, it's a terrible look for a Jets team that I don't know why this guy is still here. The only reason is they just want to go 16 and they want Trevor Lawrence. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah, I can't see any other reason why he's still the head coach of the Jets. But we got an AFC South matchup in Houston as the Jaguars head to Houston to face the Texans. And I think this is going to be a fun game. Yes, the first game of Romeo Crennel will be the head coach of the Texans. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think that James Robinson will have a big game on the ground for the Jags. I think that Deshaun Watson has a big day through the air for the Texans. And I think this is a back and forth shootout. I think both these teams go back and forth because these defenses are not very good. Neither defense is very good. Quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson obviously is a really good quarterback despite the record. And Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback than people think. So I think this game goes back and forth. But at the end of the day, I got Houston beating the Jaguars 31-27.
I got Texans finally getting their first one of the year, 28-23. I think the Jags will settle for a couple field goals, not be able to punch it in. I think will be the difference. James Robinson should have a huge year. And for the Texans, if they do not win this game, their next 2 games before the bye is at Tennessee and hosting Green Bay. They could be
Oh
staring
my
at
God!
Wow.
Wow!
So this is, I think, must win just for morale reasons. I think they'll be able to pull it out. It won't be easy, but I think Texans will find a way to get the win.
We got an NFC South matchup in Atlanta as the Panthers travel up to Atlanta to face the Falcons. And right now, I don't another coach. I can't understand why he still has a job. Why he still has a job is Dan Quinn. I think they competed Monday night, but they still lost 30-16 to the Packers. But in this game, I think the Panthers. The run game with Mike Davis and Bonifant that's kind of helped replace a little bit of the production of Christian McCaffrey, and I think they have success doing that in this game. I think that Bridgewater gets the ball to Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, and the Panthers are a better team than we thought. Matt Rule has done a really good job so far there. Matt Rule definitely took the right job in the offseason taking that Panther job. I think he's happy he took the Panther job instead of taking the Giants job or even the Redskins or even the Cowboys. I think he took the right job. This was probably one of the best jobs to have, taking the Panthers job. I think in this game, the Panthers, they run the ball well. Bridgewater has a good game. And then on defense, I think that they're able to, limit the run game of Todd Gurley, get some pressure on Matt Ryan, even though he'll make some plays. And I think the Panthers win a close one. I think they upset him. I got the Panthers upsetting the Falcons 27-24, and the Falcons going to 0-5.
Yeah, I got the Panthers 30-27. I'm really impressed with the way the teams play, and especially in the secondary. They're only giving up 229 yards a game in the secondary. With how young they are, I think Phil Snow's D coordinator's coming and doing a great job. Again, building with such a young defense. I really like the way they played. Again, this week's going to be tough playing a Falcons team, but this is another one, Dan Quinn. I don't know why he's still here, and they'll definitely put up some points to Falcons, but they just can't stop anybody. I see Teddy having a pretty good game. Mike Davis, the run game, they've been using the pass game as well. I think Carolina's offense is going to be rolling this week.
We got a match of two undefeated teams in Tennessee, but as we know, with all the COVID cases with the Titans, there is a good chance that this game may not even happen this week. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But we'll pick it like it's going to happen. And for the Bills, I think in this game they continue to Josh Allen continues to be the top 10 quarterback that he's been this year. Josh Allen has played great. He gets the ball to Stephon Diggs. I think Devin Singletary is a good day in the run game. And even for the Titans, I think they execute their offense too. AJ Brown's probably coming back. I think Derrick Henry runs the ball well. I think Tannehill gets the ball to AJ Brown. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the Bills defense having to make a play against Ryan Tannehill, and I think they do it. And if everything goes well, and we don't know if everything's going to go well this week. If everything goes well this week and they play on Sunday, I got the Bills beating the Titans 28-24.
Yeah, I got the Bills winning this one 24-21. I actually just saw a picture too. I guess there's a bunch of Tennessee Titans working out at a local high school this week. So, or last week it was. That could kind of be problematic here. So it'll be interesting what kind of happens there. Kind of, again, it's been such a weird schedule for the Titans. I think it's going to be a slow start, but I think, Tam will make some plays. Henry's going to run the ball well. Then they kind of get back into it. But this Bill team with Josh Allen, the way they're playing, they already got a 2-game lead in the AFC East. They're rolling. I think Buffalo, you go down to Tennessee and get the win.
We got a matchup of 2 3-1 teams in Cleveland. This is a little weird because in the NFL in 2020, you usually don't have two teams that are 3-1 that kind of have, average to below average quarterbacks. But that is the case this week in Cleveland as the 3-1 Colts head up to Cleveland to face the 3-1 Browns. And I think this is a close competitive game, but I think there's a couple things that are going to make the difference in this game. Darius Leonard might not play for the Colts, which could help the Browns because I think they'll be able to run the ball better than people expect with Kareem Hunt. And that'll set up play action for Baker Mayfield. And I do think that even though the Colts offensive line is the best in football, I think Myles Garrett's going to get some pressure and maybe force a turnover for Phillip Rivers. And I got this being a really, really close competitive game, but I got the Browns winning 23-20 over the Colts.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts to go on the road. I really like the way their D's playing. I know.
And of course, you like the way their offensive line's playing.
Oh yeah, of course. And I like the way that they finally kind of figured out how to use Rivers. The week one, they threw the ball 64 times a game, I think, or 64 times, I think it was. Now, last week I think they threw about 27. Again, balance. They kind of found that balance, and because they trade up for Jonathan Taylor, and it was like week one they even use him. Why'd you trade up? I know they got Hines, Barnum Mack got hurt, but I really like the way this team Colts is playing. And again, it's hard for me to see the Browns be 4-1. I just think I know they're leading the league right now, rushing yards per game.
Kevin Stefanski has done an outstanding job, and he's gotten this run game going. That's the biggest reason why they're having success. You keep the ball to Baker's hands. This is a good enough roster where they could win games despite Baker Mayfield doing anything, and that's what they've done so far.
Yeah, because it was weird last year. Yeah, you signed Hunt and Chubb, but it's like you still wanted to throw the ball 45.
No, I think what Kitchens wanted to do is he wanted to prove that Baker Mayfield was a really good player. But now Kevin Stefanski is working to Baker Mayfield's strengths: play action, have the run game going, passing the ball off the run. I think Kevin Stefanski has done an outstanding job. Figuring out what Baker Mayfield's strengths are and making the football team better instead of just Freddie Kitchens just wanting to try to make Baker Mayfield look like a superstar.
Yeah, no, that is a very good point, and it's worked. They put up 49 points in Dallas, and I like the way that he used Landry and Odell kind of with the trick plays. Kind of get him involved that way too.
Outstanding job last week with the way they used those two guys.
Yeah, keep doing it. I know you can't really run the same thing week in and week out because teams are going to get on that, but again, keep it interesting, and that's what the Browns did. But I think the Colts will be going on the road. I like the way they're playing. I think both teams are playing well. I think the Colts will do enough. I think they force Baker to make a mistake or two, and Colts will find a way to win.
We got a matchup in San Francisco as the Dolphins travel out to San Francisco to face the 49ers. And for the Niners, I think they control this game on the ground. I think they run the ball with whoever they have in there. If it's Jeff Wilson, if it's Jerick McKinnon, it's Kyle Shanahan. Anybody could run the ball in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So I think they run the ball well. There's a good chance they'll get Garoppolo back this week. So I think he'll be able to get the ball to George Kittle. I think he get another big week out of George Kittle. And on the Dolphins side, I think that the Niners get pressure on Fitzpatrick. I think he forces a turnover or two. And this will probably be the last game that Ryan Fitzpatrick starts. Yes, he wasn't terrible last week, but he wasn't great. But this will probably be the last game he starts for the Dolphins. I think Tua starts next week. And I got the Niners beating the Dolphins 28-13.
I got Miami Cuba close. I think it's going to be 20-23. I think with all the Niners injuries right now.
You like taking these ex-Belichick coaches to keep it close.
I do. I know. But only Flores and Joe Judge so far. Not Patricia. I will.
Yeah. Stop. Yeah, Patricia's a disaster. I mean, that'll be something we talk about next week. He should have been fired after last year.
Oh yeah. He's been awful in those comments the other day. Hopefully, we'll talk about next week. But I see the Dolphins being able to keep this thing interesting, just with all the injuries the Niners have defensively. They just lost somebody. I can't remember the name the other day. Now going on IR. So I think Miami's going to be able to score some points. The Niners still had 417 yards of offense last week, but they turned to, Mullins had 3 interceptions. I think, Miami's going to have trouble stopping them, but I think they'll put up some points to keep it interesting. Yeah,
we'll see there. Yeah, the Niners have a lot of injuries, but I just feel like, the way, I don't see Kyle Shanahan losing 2 games in a row, especially to 2 teams that aren't that good. So I that's why I got the Niners winning the game, and I got them winning it by double digits. But we got to get to the Sunday night game, and the Vikings head to Seattle to face the Seahawks. And I think this one's a pretty easy one. I think that, Russell Wilson, the Vikings defense has struggled all year. I think they get the run game going with Chris Carson. I think Russell Wilson throws for at least 3 touchdown passes. He has another big day. And for the Vikings, I think they move the ball. I think Seattle's really good against the run. We don't know if Jamal Adams is going to play or not, but I think the Vikings move the ball in through the air with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. I think Kirk Cousins puts up a lot of stats, but he's not going to be able to keep up with Russell Wilson, and that's why I got the Seahawks winning on Sunday night, 31-20 over the Vikings.
Yeah, I think Seattle right now at home Sunday night. They'll be get to 135-27. I got them. I think they're going to be able to put up some points. Again, I think if they can somehow get the run game going, I think if you can keep it out of Russell Wilson's hands, you have a good shot at winning this game. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. I think, obviously, they'll put points, but especially if Adams doesn't play, I'm kind of leaning toward that's kind of why the Vikings getting 27. But I think, this Seattle offense has been really good. I think, Greg Olsen's, I think, has been a nice piece. I know last few weeks, couple catches. I know he had the dreadful pick 6 against New England week 2, but this Seattle team, if they could kind of figure out defensively, the secondary, I think this is such a dangerous team. They already are, but you kind of get that defense going. They should win this game 35-27.
We got the Monday night game as the Chargers headed to New Orleans to face the Saints. And in this game, I feel like for the Saints, I think their offense will do a pretty good job. I think Alvin Kamara have a big day on the ground, even though they do have some injuries on that offensive line. Andrews Pete and Ryan Ramczyk. I think the Chargers will get some pressure on Drew Brees, but I do think that he'll be able to dump the ball off to Kamara. I think Kamara will have a game where he has a really big game on the ground. And they're hopeful to get Michael Thomas back, the Saints, so that'll be big too. And for the Chargers, I like Justin Herbert. I think I watched him play last week. I was really impressed. He's got a great arm. He's got mobility. I was really, really impressed with Justin Herbert. But I think the biggest problem with the Chargers is I don't think it's their talent. I think it's their head coach. Their head coach, 2 weeks, made two really bad decisions. Week 2, he doesn't go for it on 4th and 1 and gives Mahomes the ball, loses the game. And then last week, he's up 24-7. And right before the half, he doesn't take a knee. He hands the ball off to Joshua Kelly. He fumbles. Then the Bucs score a touchdown. That swung the momentum of that game completely, and that's on the head coach. I don't know if Anthony Lynn is the right guy to lead this team going forward, but I do know one thing. Justin Herbert's definitely the right QB going forward. But in this game, I just still feel like the Saints put too much pressure on him. I think he competes in this game. I think the Chargers will have trouble getting a running game going because Austin Eckler's out. So I do think Herbert competes, but I got the Saints at the end of the day beating the Chargers 27-17, but I do really, really like what I've seen out of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I've been a surprise. I thought, he's been a total surprise. I thought, he was going to struggle out of the gate, and, he's an older guy, so I said I shouldn't be too shocked, but I'm really, the way he's playing, it's been really good to see, and fun to see so far. And late in the first half there, and the Bucs only had one timeout too. I could see if they had 3 left, where it's like, you really can't, you give them good field position, but with one timeout, take a knee there. You're up 24-7,
and you would have gotten the ball before the half. It made no sense at all not to take a knee. It was a terrible, terrible move right there by Anthony Lynn. Horrible.
Yeah. So he should have been aggressive in the KC game, but then he decides to be too aggressive when he shouldn't. In the Bucs game, it pretty much killed all hope that they, momentum they had, that they built it up, played in the way they played in that first half. I think they'll keep it close, but I think the Saints just have way too much offense. I know there are it may get changed that they may play in Indiana.
I heard a rumor about that they may go to Indianapolis because they already moved the LSU Missouri game to Missouri. I heard that.
Yeah, and Ole Miss Alabama is supposed to play, but they're still waiting. But so that would be weird to kind of see how they kind of adjust to that, how late they decide to do that. But the Saints should be able to move the ball and score some points against the Chargers D.
Oh, absolutely. It should be an interesting game. But yeah, I got New Orleans winning 27-17. So for our picks, you still have a 6-game lead on me. I did gang a game on you last week, but you still got a 6-game lead on me in terms of the picks. And I think your record. I think I sent it to Joe before the show. I think your record still leads CMG.
Wow, I'm shocked. Usually NFL is not great for me. Usually it's college where I excel. Not usually NFL.
Yeah, you're doing a really, really good job this year with the picks. But we got to get to baseball. We got to get to last night and what was a really horrendous decision by Aaron Boone. I mean, the Yankees obviously it was 1-1 going into the second inning, and Debbie Garcia pitched all right in the first inning. He did give up that home run in the first inning. It took Arena, or what's his name?
I think you're right.
As Arena or someone, but he gave up that home run to him, and then Boone takes Debbie Garcia out. And when I said that, I'm shocked they put J.A. Happ in to relief, and then he was a disaster. He gave up 4 runs, and that was a horrible move. Yeah, Stan almost bailed him out. He get the 3-run homer, but eventually the Yankees end up losing 7-5. Just an awful move by Aaron Boone. This is clearly his worst move as the Yankee manager. This made no sense. And the thing is even when he was talking to the TBS guys, he was upset. He was questioning himself. J.A. Happ was surprised, and then even after the game, Boone was surprised. So this was definitely the worst move he made, and he's going to need Tanaka to bail him out tonight. So people don't remember this move. The key thing is he made a bad move. You don't want people to remember about this move forever. You want it to kind of be like Joe Girardi not challenging that hit by pitch in 2017. You don't want this move following you around forever.
Yeah, I don't understand. He tried to beat the Tampa Bay Rays at their own game, and he fit. And it's the New York Yankees. You have a $246 million payroll, whatever it is, and you're trying to beat the Rays at their own game. This is where the analytics, and again, it probably wasn't all Boone's decision. It was probably the analytics department too. Probably wanted to try to pull this off, and it just doesn't work. You killed all momentum. Tanaka's been great in the postseason. Again, Glasnow was great last night.
He did, but the thing was, Tanaka didn't pitch that well in game 2. But I still think you got to give him another chance.
You do. That first inning he pitched, that thing was in a tropical storm. It felt like that was not easy to go out there and go throw. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt at that. But yeah, he's been so great. I just don't know why you don't go up 2-0 and really put the pressure on Tampa Bay. Now the pressure's on you. You switched it, and it could really cost you because Morton's been good in the playoffs too. And, I just did not understand the move. And Garcia, again, that the umping was bad both sides last night, but he probably should have got that strikeout, get him out of the inning. Randy hit that home run, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's just a terrible move. Terrible move.
Yeah, I mean, the series tied 1-1. I mean, we could have been up 2-0, but you have to look at the positive. They just 1-1. The Yankees still have a really, really good chance to win this series with Tanaka tonight. The only issue now is who's going to pitch Game 4, because it probably was going to be J.A. Happ, but now that you used him in relief, he probably can't pitch that game. It's going to have to now be Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah. The problem right now is Montgomery. I could maybe depending on how it goes tonight, go 3-4 innings, see how he does the first time around the lineup, and then go from there. If you can go second time around, do it. If not, would you bring Garcia back? Give him another inning or two, see what happens. Would be interesting decision. I wouldn't mind it depending on what the score is and all that. But yeah, you put yourself kind of not elimination game, but again, you could have really took control of the series with a win last night. But in Montgomery's, it's been very up and down. He's had some decent performances, but then other nights he gets rocked. And this Rays lineups, again, they don't have too many big name guys out there, but they're dangerous.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Yeah. Very dangerous.
They are. And they, other thing, I took away from this game last night was the lineup felt like the playoffs years of the past, where there was a ton of swing and misses. They had 18 strikeouts. I think it was tied a record.
Here's my thing with the strikeouts, though. This is Major League Baseball in 2020. If you strike out and there's nobody on base, is it really what big of a difference is striking out with no one on base than just ground out to first base? Is there really any difference between the two things? There isn't. Yes, if you strike out with runners in scoring position, that's a difference. If you strike out with no one on, is that really a difference than any other out? I kind of think with baseball in these days, you want guys to have those uppercut swings. It's because that would help them eventually get home runs. So I don't put much into the strikeouts. You're trying to defend the old school game.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this: you never know what's gonna happen when the ball is put in play.
But come on. In the major leagues, usually if you put the ball in play and the guy can make the routine play, they usually get the guy out. Okay.
Do, but it's not 100% guaranteed.
It's like 98% guaranteed. Okay.
There's still, there's still that little chance. And again, it starts a rally and you get one guy on after an error, guys get kind of, all right, here we go. Let's make them pay for this. I can't, I'd rather have you put a ball in play, even though I could never do that as a little leaguer. I could not put a ball in play. Choke
up on the bat. Like they always tell you, choke up on the bat, shorten your swing.
Yeah.
I get it as an 8 or 9 hitter to shorten your swing and choke up on the bat. But do you ever want Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, choking up on that bat? No way. You want them swinging for the fences. That's how the game is played now. I don't want to hear these old school, baseball purists tell us, oh, the Yankees had 18 strikeouts. That's why they lost the game. No, it's because Aaron Boone made a terrible decision. The 18 strikeouts had nothing to do with it. Come on now.
Yeah, again, there were some spots where it's like, just put the ball in play. Don't just swing for the fences and put the ball. And the ball is carrying too. It's like, for a Judge or Stanton. It's
listen, yes, I get it. Strikeouts are the worst things in big situations. But with no one on, it's no different than a pop-up. Exactly.
it's no different from a pop out, but I think for a ground out or for a ground ball, there's a chance for an error. There's a chance you beat it out with like a Gardner. Because I like the approach the first 3 games too. Well, again, Glasnow and the Rays bullpen had great strikeout stuff. They were great last night. But I like the approach they had the first 3 games. There was not a ton of swing and misses. They were not chasing a bunch, and it kind of just felt like last night. It just felt like the last few years of seeing them in the playoffs. It's just a lot of swing and misses from last night. I thought, that was kind of out of the bag with the last 3 games.
Yeah, Joe made another point. Catcher could drop the third strike and overthrow to first base, and you can be on second after a strikeout. Yeah. So yeah, as we said, strikeouts are terrible with guys on base, but yeah, when there's no one on base, it's not. And nowadays, it's not that unproductive of an out as it used to be. So yes, but let's get to the positive of the offenses, and I think the offense has been really good. And the one guy I'll admit, I've been on Giancarlo Stanton for his lack of postseason production, but he's been outstanding. I mean, 4 homers in the postseason, 3 in the last 2 games, had 2 home runs last night. He's just locked in. He's the Yankee. He's the guy right now who no pitcher wants to face in the Yankee lineup. Who would have ever thought we'd say that? Going into the season in the postseason, but he's the one guy you don't want to face in that Yankee lineup right now.
No, you don't. And he's had good success at Petco Park. Remember the home run derby 2016. I know he said he was from Southern Cal, so I think his parents are here. He's got some family here. Again, he just this has been the Giancarlo Stanton we've been waiting for 3 years, and we're finally starting to see it. I don't know why the Rays are still throwing this guy fastballs. So. But I guess even like when they're throwing breaking balls and all that, he's not, way out in front, and he's still putting good swings on him. So he just looks totally.
And Joe reminded us he has 5 in 4 games, including 3 hits in this series. He keeps reminding us about Stan. Yes, we get it. He's been outstanding. He's been phenomenal, and he will not get criticized in this postseason if the Yankees don't win. It will not be Giancarlo Stanton. We know that for sure.
No, no, it won't. And I wonder, kind of, when you say criticize, I wonder now there's no fans. There's no, again, I know he's not thinking that he's going to get booed, but now he knows, okay, if I go over 4, nobody's going to be sitting there booing me. Like, I know he's not thinking about it, but I think maybe he's just more relaxed right now with no fans in the stands.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that could definitely be something going on right now. But for him to kind of be the MVP right now, it's kind of, in the playoffs so far, it's been a surprise. You would have thought it would be like a Judge or Torres,
or even a Luke Voigt, who hasn't been in the postseason. Yeah,
he's just, that second home run was just, I've never seen a ball hit like, I've never seen a ball get smashed like that. Like he did that second one. That was an absolute moonshot.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the rest of the lineup is really. People say Judge isn't hitting, but he's had 2 home runs. LeMahieu's hit. Hicks has hit. Torres hit really well in the series against Cleveland. Really, outside of Gary Sanchez, pretty much, and yes, Voit has struggled too, but outside of Gary Sanchez, everyone is hitting this lineup. I mean, and that's another thing is Higashioka. How about that home run the other night too? Higashioka had. He's got to pitch every single time Garrett Cole pitches. He has got to be behind the plate. Yeah,
he does, because it's must win when Garrett Cole is on the mound. But I'll say Gary did have a nice game too, though, in Cleveland. I thought he had a couple nice bats. He had the home run. He had a couple hits that game 2. I thought he played well game 2. Last night, he struggled, but he goes. Higashioka's got to be behind the plate every time Garrett Cole's out there. Especially now in October, it's must-win time with Garrett Cole on the mound, and you need Higashioka behind there.
Absolutely. The way Sanchez is hitting, the way Higashioka's been hitting, and the way Cole pitches when Higashioka catches, there's no question that Higashioka should be the catcher when Garrett Cole pitches. But let's move on to tonight, and big one, Tanaka against Charlie Morton. And I you know what? I hope this morale of what happened with the manager yesterday, Tanaka pitches a good game and stops all that, because Tanaka's the stopper. He has got to have a big game tonight. He's got to pitch well. If he pitches well tonight and the Yankees win, all this stuff about what happened last night is over with. So that's why this start is so important for him. And personally, I think he's going to come up big. I've seen Tanaka when the Yankees were down 0-2 in that series against Cleveland. He pitched a great game, and the Yankees won that game. He can be the stopper, and I feel like tonight he's going to be the stopper. And I think personally, I think the Yankees win.
Yeah, I'll take the Yankees in a very low-scoring one.
Weird, you're going to pick the Yankees in a low-scoring game. They've been playing low-scoring games recently.
They haven't, but again, I think Morton's been good. I just think Tanaka be a bit better than Morton. I think you can go a little bit deeper than Morton in this game. And I don't think there's going to be too much runs tonight put up. And, yeah, Tanaka's been great in the postseason. Again, I know he said it before his last regular season start, this could be my last game with the New York Yankees. So I feel like he's kind of got that too in the back of his head and wants to go out on top. And again, this guy never nervous in the toughest moments. So I think Tanaka is going to get it done tonight, and he's going to bail out Aaron Boone.
Yeah, I mean, too bad it's not going to be at the stadium, but I do feel like Tanaka's bailing Aaron Boone out tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, it would have been great to have the game at the stadium too tonight. It would have given him a bit of been a nice edge to have. But yeah, I think Tanaka will be able to get done. I think they can get a couple runs off of Morton would be enough, and put the pressure back on the Rays.
Yes. So we'll see what happens between the Yanks and Rays. It should be interesting. It should be really a great 5-game series. I mean, it's right now. It can go either way. But we got to move on to the Yankees post-season nemesis, and they are back. And that is the Houston Astros. They are back. You saw the way they were hitting on Monday, scoring 10 runs. Correa was hitting the ball. George Springer has been on fire. Has had 2 home runs. They beat the A's yesterday 2-0 to take a 2-0. So they're going to beat the A's 5-2 to take a 2-0 series lead. And it just looks like the Astros have found their swagger. They've found, they've got their confidence back. Yes, without the pitching, that still concerns me, the starting pitching. And if they face the Yankees or Rays in the next round, that starting pitching is going to be a big reason why they don't get to the World Series. But the way they're hitting the ball right now, they got their swagger back. And we know the Astros, yes, throw the cheating stuff out of the way. Yes, they cheated, but throw that out of the way. This Astro team is back.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were back. George Springer yesterday was his 10th straight game at Dodger Stadium with at least 1 RBI. He loves hitting that park, and I think he's tied 6 now all time with the most postseason home runs. He is 17 now. So George Springer's been a absolute monster. Correa's starting to get it going, and they just kind of have that their voice. They got all momentum right now. The A's are 4-8 since 2012 in the ALDS. They've really struggled. I know Greinke got scratched because his arm's sore. So it's Jose Urquiño, I think it's pronounced.
Who can even name a pitcher in the rotation outside of Greinke now? Now that Verlander's gone, now that Cole's gone. Yes, we can name McCullers, but really outside of that, who can name a pitcher in that rotation now?
That's it. Him, Freeman Valdez pitched yesterday. I don't know who their 5th guy would be after that, but and their bullpen too has been lights out. And that's been the problem. And all regular season was their bullpen, but that's really they really pitched well against the Twins and now against the A's. And they're just in a groove, and they're unfortunately they are back, but obviously, with all the cheating scandals stuff and all that, they're still great major league hitters. They're still, all those guys are still great hitters.
Oh yeah. And yes, they struggled during the regular season, but Altuve, Bregman, Correa, Springer, all top players at their positions.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's why I think the MLB did a disservice to everyone not suspending them for the whole year, because you're looking at right now what the punishment the MLB gave them is really has not affected their team.
No. It has not, and it was a huge mistake by the MLB. Yeah, because what punishment are you giving these guys? They're still here, and they could be playing, the World Series if it happens in Arlington. Right home. It was a terrible job by the MLB, and they don't care, but MLB doesn't care what's going on. That they did that, They're probably loving it at the Astros. They're probably hoping it's Astros Yankees. That's probably.
Of course they want the storyline. If the Rays, they definitely want that more than Rays A's. They want the storyline with the Astros and the Yankees.
Yeah, they do. So, they're fine with what the Astros are doing. But it was awful mistake by Major League Baseball. They could have really brought down the hammer, and they did not. They failed.
Yeah. I mean, they suspend the quote unquote. They fire the manager. Hinch and Luno both go, but you get rid of them. You get rid of that. The Astros get rid of their manager and might arguably have a better manager in Dusty Baker.
Yeah, they do, and good for. It's tough to root, for the Astros, obviously, but
the one guy you want to see win is if you would want to see them win, it would be for Dusty, because Dusty's been so close so many times. He's been a really good manager for so many years. If the only reason you would ever want to see the Astros win is just for Dusty Baker.
Yeah, you would, and even that's yeah. It's still tough to cheer for him, but yeah, Dusty's been a great manager. He's had chances, he just never had been able to get over the hump, and again, they got that chance right now, and going back to firing Hinch and Cora, they may get the Tigers job in one of the two. It sounds like so. They didn't really they're punished for being suspended for 60 games, but is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the A's, this just shows you again, Moneyball just gets you to the playoffs, but it can't get you a championship.
It doesn't, and I think they just lack that superstar. They don't have that guy
because they never pay that superstar. That's the problem,
and it's a mistake. And I understand why they do it. It's just not the right move. You're just going to be in the ALDS every year, and maybe one year you get lucky, you get a favorable matchup, but that's about it. You're not being a team like the Astros.
Exactly. So going on to the National League, we got an interesting series between the Padres and the Dodgers. And last night, Walker Buehler was really good for the Dodgers as they took a 1-0 lead over the Padres. Buehler was really good. He completely shut down that Padres lineup. He only went 4 innings, but he did allow a run. The bullpen was outstanding. And the Dodgers are looking like they are the best team in the National League. This will be an interesting series with the Padres, though. Because Kershaw goes tonight, so the Dodgers could easily be up 2-0. But if the Padres win tonight, they might be able to do some damage, because we all know how fun that lineup is to watch with Tatis Jr., Machado, and Hosmer. But the problem is the Dodgers have the more complete team, and they got the pitching, and that's why I think the Dodgers win the series.
Yeah, I got the Dodgers and 4. I'd love to see the Padres knock them off and get 5, but you just lose Clevenger. Now you used 9 pitchers last night. It's tough for 5 straight days here to figure out combinations, all that. I think it's Zach Davies tonight, but they don't really trust, when they brought out Clevenger for game 1, they probably knew that he probably wasn't 100%. And you still brought him out there. What's that kind of tone Paddock and Zach Davies? Like, you rather kind of have a guy that maybe 80, 90% take the game 1 instead of you guys. So kind of wonder what the morale is, but they need Davies and Paddock the next 2 nights to go deep. And it's going to be tough to go up against Clayton Kershaw. And he grew up a Rangers fan, and this is actually the first time that he's pitching in Arlington. Every time they played the Rangers, he's wasn't in line in the rotation. So going to be a pretty special night for Kershaw. I guess his parents are going to be, in the stadium. So I expect a great Clayton Kershaw performance tonight. So it'll be tough for the Padres to, get out of this hole.
Yeah, that would be nice to see. It would be nice to see Kershaw pitch tonight, and I hope the series goes more than 3 games, because this is an interesting series with the Padres lineup. I really like watching the Padres lineup. So I think the Dodgers are going to win, but I hope it goes 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, hopefully the Padres can steal 1 or 2 and can get to a game 5, because I think it helps baseball with how exciting this young, this lineup. You got one of the most exciting guys with Fernando Tatis, and yeah, it would be good for baseball to kind of showcase these guys, hopefully get them there. Hopefully build a, get a series going. Yeah, they can go 4 or 5 games.
Absolutely. So we get the last series, and that's the Braves and the Marlins. And the Marlins got off to a good start. They were up 4-1 in the 3rd inning yesterday. But right after Acuna got hit, that game completely turned around. You got the huge home run by Travis d'Arnaud, the former Met. That it's a home run for the Braves. Mets fans are not happy about that at all. So, but yeah, d'Arnaud gets the big hit. So the thing with d'Arnaud is he couldn't do anything with the Mets, but once he's left the Mets, he's been really good. So the Braves end up winning the game 9-5, take a 1-0 lead in the series against the Marlins. Here's the interesting thing, though. I think the Marlins have the pitching in this series, but the problem is the Braves have a much better offense, and that's why I think the Braves are definitely winning the series.
Yeah, I got Braves in 4. I think the big swing was when Acuna got hit, and because you got a 4-1 lead off of Max Fried, and you're looking good, and it kind of overmet, and the Braves really woke up after that. Now, it would, that's the fifth time the Marlins have hit him in the last 3 years. But the Braves have hit Brian Anderson 6 times and Miguel Rojas 5 times. So some of their top guys have been, punked up both sides. They're up 1-0 right now. I think Anderson in the fourth. Anderson already has 6 strikeouts too. So he's been mowing down the Marlins hitters so far. But yeah, the Marlins need this one, and it really stung yesterday that they could not, up 4-1. You got Max Fried out of that game, and you were not able to capitalize off of it. That was huge. That's a huge, huge loss.
Yeah, I mean, up 4-1 against the Rays. I was feeling good about the Marlins a little bit there. Then once Acunta got hit, he kind of charged them out a little bit. That woke the Braves up, and the Braves were able to end up breaking that game open and winning 9-5.
Yeah, and it definitely did. And, I know Manning said that they just wanted to they can't leave a pitch out on the outside half. They're trying to establish inside corner with them. He said just missed, who knows? Because you kind of have to establish the inside corner, with Acuna. We saw he took that pitch on the outside corner, opposite field, and that was a no doubter. That was impressive. So, I just think this Braves lineup just has too much for the Miami Marlins.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go on to college football. We're going to start with a matchup in College Station as the number 4 Florida Gators travel to College Station to face the Texas A&M Aggies, and Florida coming off 2 straight wins against they beat Ole Miss week 1. Who did they beat week 2?
South
Carolina week 2. And Texas A&M beat Vanderbilt week 1 and lost to Alabama last week. We got Kellen Mond against Kyle Trask. And for this game, I'm going to go with the better quarterback. I think Kyle Trask is played better than Kellen Mond. I think that Kyle Pitts is the best tight end in the country, and he's going to prove that this week. And I think Kellen Mond has struggled a little bit so far for Texas A&M. And I got Florida winning this. I got them winning it by double digits this week over Texas A&M.
I got Florida going on the road 31-27. This is not much win for Jimbo Fisher, but he better show that his team can compete on the football field this week, because Dan Mullen's third-year head coach too, and we've seen what Dan Mullen's been able to do at Florida. He's revived this Gator program. He's, and this was kind of the year they, last year they had the number 6 overall recruiting class. First year they had the 3rd overall recruiting class. Most of those guys are out here playing. Kellen Mond just looked, very uncomfortable in the pocket. I know last week it's Alabama. That was men against boys. It usually is when you play Alabama. They kind of hung around for half, but did Kyle Pitts right now, all of his 12 catches, 6 first downs, 6 touchdowns. He runs like a wide receiver too. He kind of reminds me of a Darren Waller. That's what he kind of reminds me of. This guy was benched last year. Didn't get much playing time last year, and he really worked out and figured it out this offseason. And Kyle Trask is a homecoming for him as well. So, guy that was not really recruited, but Florida should get the win on the road.
We got an ACC matchup in Chapel Hill as the Virginia Tech Hokies head down to Chapel Hill to face North Carolina. And in this game, yes, UNC hasn't played as well as expected, but I think this is the game where USC breaks out and plays well. I think Sam Howell has a big game. I think that UNC's defense does a decent job against Virginia Tech's offense. And Virginia Tech, their best corner, opted out. So I do like UNC winning this one. I like them winning it by 2 scores as well.
I get UNC in a close one, 30-24. Their Virginia Tech D coordinator has been out with COVID, so he hasn't actually been at a game yet. I believe this week he'll be there, but I'm not 100% sure yet. They're led on the ground. They're in 19 rushing yards. During the 19 rushing yards a game right now, and they're led by 2 transfers, Khalil Hubbard from Kansas and Raheem Blackshear from Rutgers. Braxton Burmeister, the quarterback right now, he's a dual threat guy, but if you have to make him sit in the pocket and throw the ball, he's struggled. He's still learning. The arm's still kind of developing. He was 9 for 25 last week. If he can get out of space, and it'll make things a lot harder for North Carolina. But they held on against BC for the Tar Heels last week. They should be able to get at home, and I feel good. Tar Heels at home right now. They should go to 3-0.
We got the Red River rivalry on Saturday, and yes, it's not the game we expected to have. You got Texas coming in at 1-1, Oklahoma coming in at 1-2, and I think this is obviously a close competitive game. I think it's going to be back and forth between Ellinger and Rattler, but I'm going to take the better quarterback here. I'm going to take the better quarterback in Sam Ellinger and the coach that needs this game more in Tom Herman, and I got Texas winning in a close one.
I get Texas 38-34 over the Horns, and expecting of coach that needs it. He's not going anywhere. His buyout's $20 million. So unless if the donors and boosters at Texas chip in and pay that themselves, I don't see Tom Herman going anywhere unless this thing turned into a complete disaster. But they beat themselves. They had 12 penalties last week. They couldn't get off the field in big spots on third down. Ellinger is way too inconsistent. Yeah, some drives he looks like an NFL ready guy. The next one he looks like a true freshman that's never been out there before. They need consistency out of him. And since TCU's entered the Big 12, they are now 2-7 against the Horned Frogs. Herman wants to build this program back up, but you gotta beat TCU. And their 6th loss since he's been there against a unranked team. But for OU, it's a really young team. It was kind of a retool year. Just get guys some experience. Their first back-to-back regular season loss since '99, which was Bob Stoops' first year. The defense is struggling, especially on the ground. I think Texas will be able to pull it out. I think Texas is going to come out, pull this game out.
Got an SEC matchup in Athens as Tennessee travels to Athens to face Georgia, and I think this is going to be a game where Georgia, just like they did against Auburn, win the game with their run game and their defense. And that's what I think they're going to do against Tennessee. I think they're going to be able to run the football, play good defense, and I got them winning by 2 scores and remaining undefeated.
Yeah, I get Georgia 24-14, and I think this could be really interesting early as Georgia heads to Tuscaloosa next Saturday night. So that may be in the back of their minds a bit. But Tennessee's got some of the best offensive line in the country. Trey Smith, Caden Mays, actually the Georgia transfer that got waiver to play. Tennessee, offensive line has played really well, and it's helped out this rushing attack of Ty Chandler and Eric Gray, and Jarrett Curtano has improved because of it. Hasn't made too many mistakes. Just being a game manager, and it's really helped him as there's been a lot of question marks about him. This should be a fun game in the trenches, but I really
just like the way you like it.
Yep, yeah. I was wishing Georgia Auburn was a little bit closer last week, but obviously we saw Georgia's defensive line, and that was impressive. To beat up a SEC team like that and an Auburn team, and Stetson Bennett looked 10 times better than Bo Nix. He had pocket awareness every time. He was not rattled. He sat back there, let play develop. I was impressed. And I know Bo Nix is under stress pretty much every play, but I like Stetson Bennett. He'll make enough plays to get the win.
We got the big game in Clemson as Miami heads to Clemson to face the Tigers this week. And I think this is going to be such a fun, interesting game to watch because you got Trevor Lawrence, the consensus #1 pick, against De'Ara King, who's played really well for the Canes this year. I think De'Ara King has a good game. I think he's on the ground and in the air, but I think Trevor Lawrence has a better game. And I think the biggest difference in this game is Miami's defensive end who opted out, because that's going to be the guy who would have gotten pressure on Trevor Lawrence and kept this game a little closer. I think this is a fun game to watch. I think this game is going to be up and down, a lot of points. But I got Clemson staying undefeated and winning 45-35.
I get Clemson winning this one 41-24. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think the way you have to beat Clemson is with big plays. You cannot drive down the field, drive it and drive out against Clemson's defense. And against Brent Venables, he'll make adjustments. We saw that last year, kind of the college football playoffs. I know J.K. Dobbins got hurt, but really after that, they didn't, Ohio State had a lot of trouble moving that ball. Second quarter in the second half, they struggled most of the game. They had their opportunities, but I just think you need big plays. And I don't think that Miami, they have that De'Ara King. I just don't think that they have the wide receivers to do it. Their top guys, tight end, Burvin Jordan. He's got 15 catches on the air. That's kind of their big playmaker. I think, they'll have success early, but I think Venable is going to make enough adjustments, and he's going to shut this Miami team down. And, for the Canes on defense, they're going to need Quincy Roche to get to Trevor Lawrence. again, pressure. They didn't look great in the first half, Clemson. They let Virginia hang around, but they just have so many weapons, and I just think it's going to be tough to slow them down. I think Miami's really going to struggle. And we've seen Miami in big games when everyone kind of thinks they're back. They haven't been able to answer the bell, and I think it's going to be the same thing Saturday night.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Should be a really good Saturday of college football with all the ranked teams going up against each other. But we got to talk a little bit of hockey, just because we're Ranger fans, and it was the NHL draft was last night, and the Rangers had the number 1 pick, and they drafted this right. Help me out here, Alexis Lafreniere, is that his name?
Yep. Yeah.
They drafted him with the number 1 overall pick. I don't know much about him. I hear he's really good. Is he going to live up to the hype for the Rangers, in your opinion, Justin?
I think so. What I've heard, I think he will. With Kako on that line and Adrian Panarin, I think he will. All the reports, he's a guy plays hard, great goal scorer. Again, he's excited. I don't know if you saw a picture, but they had him all up in Times Square last night. It's exciting around New York, and I think he's the guy that's going to help this team take the next step now and get out of this rebuild mode. Again, obviously coming to New York, it's going to be tough to fill the shoe. It's going to be tough to come to New York with the media and all this, but I think this is the guy that's, that has the confidence to do it, and I think he'll be able to do it. Everything I've heard, he's going to be a really, really good player. I heard the comparison is Steven Stamkos, and if he can turn out to be Steven Stamkos, I think every Ranger will take that.
Oh, as a Rangers fan, I'd love to have him turn out to be Steven Stamkos.
Yeah. So, hopefully it all worked out, and I think he's going to be a really, really fun player to watch, and can't wait to see him out there.
So we're going to wrap the show talking a little WNBA because we had a local connection here. And last night, the Seattle Storm beat the Las Vegas Aces to win the WNBA championship. They beat Breanna Stewart, former UConn, obviously everyone knows, former UConn forward, leads Seattle to their second WNBA title in 3 years. So she's got 2 WNBA championships along with her 4 NCAA championships. Also, we had everybody knows Sue Bird. Sue Bird was on the team as well. And I think this is her 4th championship being with the Seattle Storm. So she's been there for forever. She's been with the Storm forever. And then lastly, Morgan Tuck, who played with Breanna Stewart on those national championship teams. She was on the Seattle Storm too. So we had a local connection. The Storm winning the championship over the Aces, over Asia Wilson and the Aces, winning that game 92-59 to win their 4th WNBA championship, 2nd in 3 years. You check any of this out, Justin, last night?
I watched a few minutes of it. By the time I turned it on, it was already a blowout. But and I did get to see a few minutes just because Breanna Stewart was so fun to watch at UConn, and obviously Sue Bird been around forever. When does Breanna Stewart ever lose?
Never. No, you can't even think because the year before, because in 2019, last year she was out with the torn ACL. She was out. So So, yeah, when did she ever lose that and ever not win the championship? It's like every year Breanna Stewart wins the championship.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, great look. But, she's an unbelievable player. She's been such a great player at Stores and now at Seattle, So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. But, the few, minutes I've watched of each game, they just totally dominated. And it kind of reminds me of the old UConn team, just absolutely dominating everybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I think we probably have to say Breanna Stewart might be one of the greatest, maybe the greatest women's basketball player ever. I mean, she's right up there with Taurasi and Maya Moore, right up there. I think she might be the greatest player ever right now.
Oh, yeah, she's definitely making her case, and again, she's only been in the league for a few years now, so it's pretty scary for the rest of the league. She's still pretty young. I think she will definitely make a case and definitely have a say for that when she hangs them up.
Oh, absolutely. So let's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about the baseball playoffs and Week 6 of the NFL season. Have a great Columbus Day weekend, everybody.